One, rock and roll. Here we go. All right. Hey, Facebook world. Hector here, Corpus Christi, Texas, with our next Hardstyle Live. I'm really excited about this one. I'm going to have a personal, just a great time because I got my good buddy. He and I go way back to our level 1 and just all kinds of great information we're going to bring to you guys today. So we officially have my good friend Jeff, the Sokol. He's going to be sharing with you guys a little bit about himself, and we're going to talk kettlebells, we're going to talk strength training, we're going to talk, having fun, just all kinds of stuff. Jeff is currently a team leader with StrongFirst. StrongFirst is kind of the gold standard of kettlebell strength training throughout the globe, and Jeff travels the country to teach others about strength training and his passion for kettlebells. He actually, I'm not sure how many people know this, but one of his first training facilities was called Kettlebellistics, and he ran it more or less from his home, and he just kind of had a great time. But now he currently works out of a facility called Fuel House up in the Pacific Northwest in Seattle, Washington. And his website is sokolstrong.com. And I mean, without further ado, Jeff, man, dude, thanks for taking the time to jump on here and to hang out with us. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, what was your background like before kettlebells and all this? Like, where was the Sokolator crafted?
The Sokolator, huh? Yeah. First of all, hey man, Heck, it's great to be with you. And for those that are tuning in, thanks for taking your time to check this out. As Heck said, we go way back to the early RKC days, and that was actually that certification. And the process of getting there was completely life-changing for me. Period. And those that happened to be at that cert with me, I was crazy. It was crazy. I was just having so much fun, and I was actually doing something, and it was one of those things that I finally had set a goal and worked it all the way to the end. But to get to that point was definitely a challenge. I was one of those guys that was raised in a really small logging town, surrounded by hard workers and all this stuff, and I really had a good work ethic, but as I was growing up, scholastics was just as important enough so I could play sports. So I basically did what I could do to get by, but it was never my main thing. All I wanted to do was hit baseballs, tackle people on the football field, and every now and again get a rebound in basketball. But I quit that when I was like a freshman because I stayed short and stocky and everybody got tall. But anyways, to make a long story short, I basically was a grunt worker. Always, all my jobs revolved around using my hands, using my body, which was awesome. And it kept me physically fit enough to do things that I semi-enjoyed, but I never really found passion for life in these types of jobs. It was just kind of one of those things where you go to work, you do your thing, but when you come back in the morning, nothing really changed. It was just do it all over again, right? So it was really never leading to anything. And when I moved from this small town in 1989, we moved to a slightly bigger town where I started to get a little more culture, started to see a little more of the world and how things rolled. And after that, I went into the military. So after I got out of the military, I went right back into backbreaking construction jobs. And before you know it, I ended up with a government job trying to do the route of getting benefits and getting a retirement and medical benefits and whatever. But through that job, I'd actually ended up getting up to 240 pounds, hating life, another one of many jobs that really brought me no fulfillment. But I was doing it because that's the way I thought I had to do things. And I basically ended up getting to a point where I was overweight, I was depressed, I was angry, it was ruining relationships, and I stumbled upon probably one of the goofiest kettlebell programs in the world. But that's why I try not to make fun of too many shake weights and these types of things, because it was what I see as a gimmick is what led me to finding the appropriate route of kettlebell training. And then once I found that, it was just all go from there, you know, and it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy at all. I had to take a lot of different steps to make all this happen. But finding a passion was life-saving for me, literally. Nice.
So you're kind of going through this whole transition. You're trying to kind of, I guess, like find yourself, that, you know, that complete, you're trying to find myself. And then lo and behold, because I kind of had the same experience with another, not a gimmick, but another infomercially type training tool. And so you found your, almost like your answer, and you give this thing a try. So like, tell us about that journey. It was the kettlebell, right? Is it like, it's safe to say it's like Kettle Works or something like that. And it's like, you started to experience that for the first time. Like, tell us about that journey, and then kind of how did you get to that RKC certification? I'm sure that in itself was another challenge, ups and downs, etc.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So basically I had ordered this program in a alcohol-induced, semi-suicidal, just disgusting state, and I didn't even realize that I basically ordered it, and it showed up in a box on my porch. And at this point, I was going through divorce, so I was living at home all by myself, hating my job. Like I said, everything was just horrific in my life, and horrific is my horrific, you know. To some other people, that's not all that horrific, but at that time, in my mind, I mean, obviously it could have been worse, but I just really was in this state, and my mind led me to thinking this was the worst possible place I could be. But anyways, I got that package, and there was I believe it was a 20-pound kettlebell, maybe a 10, and maybe like a 6-pounder, and they were all rubber coated, blue, pink, yellow type of situation. It had 3 little workout DVDs. I think one was called Burn, one was called Abs, and one was called Power, which, yeah, I don't know if there's much power involved, but I finally talked myself into throwing that sucker in there, and next thing you know, I'm doing these crazy little kettlebell workouts, but I learned real quick that this was something that required focus a little bit. So during that half an hour, that 20-pound kettlebell was kicking my butt big time, but my mind was on the bell and not on the divorce and all of these other little things that were going on. So I get goosebumps thinking about it, because it was literally a half an hour where it was just me in like this little flow state, and I was just focusing on, God darn it, you know, how in the hell do I do this, right? And then that led me to showing my buddy. I said, hey, bud, man, you got to check this stuff out, because we were kind of like your typical gym rat, you know, back buys, chest tries, leg shoulders type of situation. We sucked at that even, but we tried it, you know. But I showed him that, and he's like, man, I don't know, you know, I could see that a little bit, because that 20 pounds kicked his ass too. But he actually was the first guy to find Pavel, and he sent me this link, and it was a picture of like Enter the Kettlebell, and I started to get into that, and I see this like strong Russian dude with this big black iron ball, and it wasn't rubber coated or pink, and I was like, wow, you know. And then that led me to checking out Pavel and getting into StrongFirst, and we pitched in together and ordered Enter the Kettlebell with a 53-pound kettlebell, and we just started practicing together a little bit, you know, trying to figure it out. And then during this time, I had gotten back into martial arts, which is another thing that saved me, because again, my mind was back to focusing on something that was skill, you know. And the big moral of the story in a whole is, number one, finding something that you're passionate about. But if you're the type of person that lets your mind wander a lot, is finding something that's technically difficult.
Right.
And for me, that was great, because I'm very mission orientated. Even back in the, you know, if I have a mission, I'm going to get after it. But if I'm randomly going to like a 24-hour fitness or something like I did, you know, I never really had the mission there. I was just kind of going through the motions, and then you look at the TV and there's war, there's all kinds of stuff going on. So it was never like a complete just release. You know, there's all the other problems were still there in that environment. So yeah, I found that, and then that led me to finding the amazing and awesome Andrea Yushi Chang, and I saved up some money and I went down there and got a private session with her. And that was like, you know, and I was still like 230 or 240 at the time. Size 38 pants, you know, broke a sweat walking to the car and back would go out every time I sneezed. You know, I mean, I was a mess. And then I did one session with her and I was like, yep, this.
Oh. No.
In 1989,
looks like we're having a technical difficulty here. Looks like we may have lost Jeff. Looks like we're having. There we go.
Shing, shing, we're back. You were frozen in like this really handsome pose there, and I was like, "Is he messing with me?"
I was like, "Oh no, we lost him." Yeah, so you left off where you just met Andrea, and you were like, "Yes, this is it."
Yep. And so I did a few sessions with her, and then she recommended the HKC.
Oh boy, looks like we're having technical difficulties. Sorry, guys. We'll figure it out here. Just be patient with us. This is the first time this has happened. Gotta love the internet, huh? We're trying to get Jeff back on. Sorry, looks like we lost him. Just bear with us. And it was just getting good too. Okay, we're getting it back on, guys. Stay patient. Sorry. Looks like our internet kicked out. Hang in there, guys. No. Don't log off, guys. Hang in there. We're getting it fixed. He's jumping back on. Here we go.
Bud.
All right, sorry, man. I'm not sure what's going on. Anyhow, you're in
allergic
Seattle.
to technology.
You're headed in. You had your first session with Andrea. Mind blown. Continue.
Mind blown. So she recommends the HKC cert, right? So I again had another mission, right? And I do best on missions. So I started training for that a little bit on my own with my buddy, seeing Andrea from time to time. And then the HKC came, and that's when I met my first like kettlebell hero, Czar Horton, you know. And by this point, I was down to like 230, right? Because I've been training for the HKC, and I'm starting to squat better, move better, you know, all this stuff. And he shook my hand, and I, for a second, I thought he had 4 legs and like 2 of them had hands on them instead of feet. His forearms were so massive. I was like, wow. And I literally was like, that's my goal, man. I mean, I don't care what happens, but I'm sure if I get forearms like that, somewhere along the way, I'm going to be bad as shit. You know, I mean, that was it, right? And then, so really inspired. Doug Neopold, a couple of the other Fire Bells guys were there. I mean, just an amazing, amazing cert. I just absolutely fell in love with it. And then we went back, and like I said, I got into martial arts again. And so the combination of studying kettlebell, studying Kaju-Kembo, and getting back into that world was really, really awesome. And I was doing it. My martial arts instructor got cancer, unfortunately. He's still fighting the good fight today, but one of his students was a preacher at a local church, and they had this, like, you remember the Hoosiers, that old style gym? You know, they had an old style Hoosiers gym that they used it some, but while my instructor was fighting his cancer, he allowed us to move our martial arts studio into the gym. So we brought our ring in there, all this stuff into the church gym. And so after I got the HKC, I started teaching morning classes there at 5:30 and at 6:30 in the morning for free, donation. And we split the donations down the middle, gave to the church, and then bought equipment, right? And before you know it, in these classes, we're getting 10, 15, 20 people in the morning coming in and doing this stuff. And I still hadn't really clicked that I can coach this stuff, you know? But my buddy's like, dude, this is it. This is your path out of this damn job you're doing. You know, you belong doing this stuff, you know, just your face lights up, you know, it's you. So from there, not only did now I had the martial arts, I had Andrea and that little community. Now I had this like church community that was supporting the heck out of me, right? You know, and I get choked up thinking about it but anyways, that just all of that coming together at the right time worked, you know, and I started becoming a coach. And then I started doing it out of my garage, like you said. And then my house got taken away because of the divorce, and it was during the housing crash, and everything was a big mess. And I tried my damnedest to try and keep it together. So now I'm like, oh boy, what do I do? You know, what do I do now? I started building this flock. Things were going good. Now I got to hit the reset button. So I called my friend Andrea, and I'm like, hey man, I'll be willing to commute 60 miles one way every day to come down there and mentor underneath you and try and build a client book, right? So started driving back and forth every day, 120 miles, going down there, learning. She would help me out, got me a client or two here and there. And then I met the amazing Marjana King. And like this whole journey, I mean, I don't know if it was some decent karma coming back or whatever, but it's like there's so many people that just like went out of their way to help me in this process. And Marjana was one of them. I was like, hey, you know, can we meet at 11 because I'm doing this commute back and forth and all this stuff is crazy. And she's like, hey, I'll tell you what, buddy, we got this downstairs basement. It's wide open. You want to live in here until you build your clients for free. And, you know, now you're closer to your work and you can do a better job. So they took me in and I lived in their darn basement and helped them out with pet sitting and chores around the house and all that stuff. And then before you know it, you know, get enough clients and got my own place and got married and all this stuff. And I'm just still like hustling, you know, I mean, not like a down and dirty street hustler, but I feel this is kind of like it's like a hustle, you know, hustling quality product. But I still to this day kind of, you know, am I really doing this? You know, it's just, I don't know, man, it's overwhelming. And I still love it as much as I did when I got that first cert, if not more, you know, just the process of working with people. It's just awesome.
Yeah. You know, you said so many really, really good things, man. I just want to kind of touch on a couple of them. The first one, you know, you mentioned that when you were starting this journey, you noticed that you weren't thinking about all the other chaos. So like all the other things that were going on in your life just kind of stopped for that 20 to 30 minutes.
That's it.
I think that is something that is very unique to learning how to use kettlebells, but I think just very unique on mastering a skill, period.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what makes that so unique, is that it's not a treadmill where you're watching a television. It's not you have to really focus on what you're doing, and it just makes it so much more like intoxicating, so much more like, oh, like I want to master this thing, you know? Yep. And so like, I think that is something very unique that, and our students eventually they get that bug too. You know, they come in with the same, like I had the same thing. I used to do biceps and tries and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. But it's like, once you experience like the truth, you know, it's kind of like, I can't live without this.
Yep. And that's, I think that's, oh, sorry to interrupt, Heck. And I think that's the hard part about our gig, you know, in this world of instant gratification and just step in the room and go, is finding those students that really want to embrace the process, you know, and the ones that do, like you say, man, they get the bug so big, it's amazing. You know, I think kettlebells is and can be for everybody, but it's most definitely for those that are like, hey, man, I need a process. I need a process to keep me squared away. I need something to fight my inner demons or whatever, you know, and that's not just for those people. But I think, like me, for instance, it was exactly what I need.
Yeah. I mean, you're the prime example. Like you said, it's that process. You need that something to focus that energy on. And it's totally there, you know, and I think that's kind of where, you know, you, myself, and every other StrongFirst, any other kettlebell pure, it doesn't matter what organization you belong to, any kettlebell, you know, purist and just a lover of this stuff, we're fighting that uphill battle because we're kind of like going against the norm. You know, most people are like, what do you do for abs and this kind of stuff? So I definitely feel you on that part. And I'll never forget the day I met Zara myself. Man, the guy feels like he's got mitts for hands, you know? Yeah. And, yeah, so I mean, you've learned from the best. You've experienced the elite coaching. I mean, you went to the Harvard of kettlebells, more or less, where it's very strict. You learned the finest details. Tell us now. So now you're on another journey. You're kind of now you've met the kettlebell. You're learning it. You're spreading that love. You've recently been promoted to a team leader with StrongFirst. Like, I'm sure that in itself has its responsibilities, and it's, you know, now people are going to look at you, and now it's kind of like I mean, you just got this stuff. Now you have a bigger target to live up to. Right. You know, people, because now you're Andrea. Yeah. And now people are dealing with what you were dealing with, and now they're coming to you. Yes. Tell us about that.
Well, first of all, it blows me away, you know, because I mean, I remember when we were at our RKC cert, you know, just looking at our, you know, first goal was, I want to be assistant. You know, that team leader thing was just so far out there that, you know, I mean, but finally, you know, getting promoted to that, I take it to heart. You know, I mean, I literally love what we do, and I believe in what we do. So it's not only an honor, it's just, it's like another just out there goal that it was finally met. And it's just like going back to martial arts, you know, it's like getting the black belt or something. Now the journey's just beginning, you know, as a team leader. And, you know, I honestly need to do a better job at that as well. You know, I mean, I try and you know, share quality information. I try and be on top of everything, and I try and be a technician. But just like anybody else, you know, I need to work harder at it, and I'm stoked for that challenge. And I think that being the team leader at a cert and stuff like that is, I don't know how you feel about it, but the whole time I'm choking back tears and goosebumps and all these just amazing moments. And I just think that you're even more deeper a part of, you know, people's journey in that position, especially when you're actually at the darn cert, you know. But I do live and walk it and breathe it. And like I said, you know, my social media, I can get a little crazy and a little wacky out there sometimes. And, you know, but the way I see it is, I know that Facebook and all that stuff, as you maybe said earlier, like fake book, you know, I try and just be myself, you know, and the way I figure it is, is if you just be yourself and you do what you do, you're going to attract the people that want to be with that type of person, you know? So sometimes I'll make a post or two and I'll go, geez, I probably shouldn't have done that, you know? But, all that little stuff, I think as a team leader, I need to pay more attention to, you know, and these are all these little things that I'm trying to evolve and mature into. But no, it's a huge honor, and you making senior was made my freaking day. So congratulations on that. It's like guys like you that make this stuff so awesome and enjoyable. And I'm just honored to be around dudes like you, man. So.
Yeah. You know, it's something like you said, kind of being yourself. You know, for those that have yet to meet Jeff, he's what you see right now. This is what you get. You know, it's nonstop, just energy, and you can, like he talked about when you find your passion. Like obviously, you and I have found it. There's this glow. It's hard to explain, but I'll never forget at the RKC. We were there, and we trained outside 90% of the time.
Oh yeah.
Jeff, you just would not stay. You were like you wouldn't stop. Just like anything they showed, you're like, oh yeah, let's do this, guy. Like you were just like, man, you could just see it, you know, and it became like addictive. And I was like, oh hell yeah, let's do this. You know?
it was just all that pain and just self-doubt and all those things. You know, it was like that weekend. I just got to express just being back, you know, and being alive and finding a passion and working toward it and finally getting there. And I mean, I wasn't one of those guys that said, hey man, I'm going to do the RKC and signed up for it and did it 3 months later. You know, that was a year or more of working my butt off to even barely make it through the weekend. You know, I mean, when I passed the snatch test, someone thought I was dying, but I was over in the corner freaking praying to everything I've ever prayed to. And, you know, I mean, it was just like, wow, you know, I mean, it was there, it's done, I did it, you know, it was just, it was amazing, you know.
That was a pretty brutal weekend just from being outside in the sun, and they had over 120, candidates were there. It was a crazy weekend. Something that you mentioned, this ties into your passion, and you said how you noticed that it just seemed like some of the pieces have just been lately just kind of falling into place somehow on your journey. And I think that, and I would like you to comment on this, is I think there's something about making that decision and when you kind of have, because at that point you kind of had this do or die mentality.
Yeah.
And I think enough of us don't have a do or die mentality, because it's like when you go into this do or die mentality and you literally say if I don't learn how to figure this out, or if I don't master this skill, or if I don't take advantage of whatever opportunity it is, I'm literally going to die. And I think when you have that, the universe or whatever you want to call it, I think just says, you know what, we might as well just let him have it, because he's not going to stop, kind of deal.
Right. Yeah.
So, you've come across many people. I've come across many people that's, start and stop many things. What would you tell someone that's kind of where you're at? They don't know what they want to do with their life. They don't know, they hate their job. Comment on a little bit about just kind of making that decision and just tackling that goal, which I think, a lot of people struggle with. We set many goals, but yet we don't attack many of them for some reason. Right.
Yeah. And, it's easy to say, find your passion, but it's hard to find that, Mine was, I didn't work out at 24-Hour Fitness and go, I want to be that guy, coach. I mean, I had no idea that coaching was going to be in my future. If any coach, it would have been Little League Baseball or something, But so I would like to say just find your passion, but it's not that easy. It's not that easy to discover. Mine slapped me in the face because I hit a low point, and I definitely don't want to recommend hitting a low point, to find your passion, But I think the big thing is, especially in this world of social media and just seeing all this stuff that's out there, is seeing something that ignites something in you, and then finding those people that are doing what you want to do, because I needed that even before I set my goal. I needed that reinforcement from somebody that was already there. I mean, as much as I'd like to say I was a self-starter and I just said, boom, I'm doing this tomorrow. It was a process. I many self-doubts, many. Probably the only person, I love my parents, love them to God, but Don't do that. Are you nuts? You have a job with the DOT that has benefits. It has this. It has that. It has whatever, you know. You're crazy if you quit that to go follow this dream. And they did that out of love, you know. And I had one friend that supported me throughout this whole thing, and that was Clint, when it really came down to quitting that job, you know. But it's like, not listen to the naysayers, you know. If you believe in your heart and your gut that this is for you, once you click that switch, it's all about digging deep, living in people's basements if you have to, you know, driving 120 miles, you know, like putting in the stuff that is hard, that's not enjoyable, you know. And it's like all of that struggle is what makes this so sweet.
Yeah.
You know,
I agree with you more. You know, I've heard this, like, you know, you got to be willing to do the things that you hate doing, you know, to get there. And I think, would you agree that, you know, like you said, it's hard to find, it's easy to say, I'll find what you're passionate about. We've heard all the cliches, you know, do what you love, you never work a day in your life. Like, we've heard all these things, but I would think, let me know if, you know, you could agree or disagree with this, but I think one thing that you were open to was just kind of like having an open mind and trying different things, because you never know. I mean, you're going to come across a lot of crap that you don't like before you actually find what you're passionate about. And something made you pull that trigger of, oh my, I'll try this. Sure, what the hell not? I'm not doing anything else.
Yeah.
And then whenever we have like an open mind to try anything, whatever it is, you know, I think it just kind of, you'll eventually find that.
Absolutely.
What do you think about that?
I think that's great. And I think open mind is a huge thing, you know, and being, you know, like being open enough to absorb this, absorb that, shoot that back out, take that back in, you know. And it was a process for me as well, you know, that way. You know, I realized that whatever I was doing with that one program, you know, I took some of that, which was I have to learn this stuff properly, or it's going to bang my wrist and it's going to make me do silly things. But getting rid of the part where I felt like I had to be in Susan Summers up my butt tights, you know, and so that, you know, getting rid of that part of it led me to the hardstyle part, you know. So if I would have just kept my eyes shut to what I ended up being kind of goofy, so to speak, I would have never found the path toward what worked for me, you know. And on the other side, you know, I mean, someone could find StrongFirst and then go, well, that's just too serious, and then find Kettleworks and love the hell out of that and live a happier, better life for it. And that's great. You know, it doesn't really matter what one road you choose, just as long as it's the one that makes you happy and it makes you want to fight for it, right? And my other jobs and stuff that I did, there was nothing in there that made me want to fight for it. You know, I just went there and I clocked in and went through the motions and clocked out. You know, there wasn't any job that I really did that I was like, wow, you know, I accomplished this today. You know, it was all just blah, you know. And with this job, every day is an accomplishment of some sort. Every day. Whether it's your accomplishment or your friend's accomplishment that you're training with, you know, there's accomplishments going on all day long, you know. So every time I leave, I feel like, man, you know, this 8 hours at the gym today, I really feel like I did some good, you know, for myself and for somebody else, and that's priceless.
Nice. So to get ready to close out, so what, you know, I'm sure people are dying to know about like your strength training regimen, like kind of what is your training, you know, there's again, there's a lot of noise out there. Do this kettlebell program, do that one, don't do this one, don't do that one. Like someone that's just kind of getting into kettlebells, what would you recommend them start? Like what type of exercises did you do when you were getting started? Like what would a very simple beginner type kettlebell program look like?
Well, for me, the original start was just walking, right? You know, and I tell people all the time that are like, man, you know, kettlebells seem great, but I really don't know how to get there because I really don't have no confidence in this or whatever, you know, and I'm a little overweight or this or that, the other. So I always tell people, if you want to kickstart whatever program it is, whatever it is, you set a timer for 30 minutes, take a walk. And at 15 minutes, if you want to, just turn right back around, you know, and do that for 30 days in a row. And when you're on that walk, leave your freaking phones behind, smell flowers, pet cats, be present. And then, you know, I did a Facebook challenge where people did this. And before you know it, they're like, well, forget that 30 minutes. You know, I'm walking 2 hours, and I've been walking by this yoga studio every time during that walk. And then finally, the 15th day in, I walked into the yoga studio, and then I became a yoga practitioner or whatever, right? You know, but it's first, you know, I think that just getting out walking and being present in your surroundings is way underrated when it comes to like trying to discover a passion. Or, you know, I'm not no music, no nothing, just you and what's around you type of thing, right? And then, you know, getting into kettlebells, you know, it's like the program minimum, man. You know, working swings, deadlifts, and goblet squats and get-ups. I mean, that's the start for me. And of course, as you know, your swing's only as good as your deadlift. So, you know, work deadlifts, get those down, you know, practicing your power breathing with those things. And once you get that down, you know, then you start working your swings and working those goblet squats and portions of the get-ups. I mean, I think with those moves right there, you can get a lot done. And all of those lead toward bigger, better, and more exciting things. You know, those maneuvers.
Yeah, I mean, swings and get-ups is I mean, you can't beat it.
It's sinister, man. I mean,
pound for pound, you can't really beat it. Cool, man. Well, how can people find you? If people want to connect with you and they want to learn more about like your training style and again, kind of get to know, again, what we all have, we're all going to have different like followers, you know, so to speak, people that like our style of teaching. Like, how can people follow you? Where can they find you? What's the best way for them to get in contact with you?
Well, you know, I'm pretty active on the Instagram stuff, and it's Sokol Strong, right? And then I have a little website, sokolstrong.com, which, as you can see, I'm allergic to technology. I get on this thing and it starts freezing and stuff, so I'm not really that great at managing my website, but there is some videos on there, a little bit about me and all that stuff. And then, you know, Facebook, my Sokol Strong business page is more kettlebell orientated. And then if you just want to follow my nutty butt, you can follow it on just my regular Facebook page at Jeff Sokol. But that's probably the easiest. And email me at sokolstrong@gmail.com, because I don't get into the Facebook messages. I don't, you know, I got too much stuff going on that I can't manage all those, you know, because I kind of, beep, beep, as you know. So if it's all in one email spot, I'll get to it, right? You know, so email me if you want to ask questions or something like that, please. No Facebook message.
So you heard it from the man. Email him. Don't Facebook message him. He will probably defriend you.
I won't go that far, but I will get back to you. You'll probably defriend me thinking I'm a prick, you know, because I didn't answer it, right?
Right on, man. Well, you know, you and I could probably talk for like another hour, man, plus and keep going. But, you know, thanks for jumping on, man. Thanks for your friendship and just thanks for you and really thanks for bringing that raw time sometimes, because sometimes we need that. We need a little bit of that that's not politically correct kind of stuff sometimes. And to let people know that, hey, it's so cool. It's okay to have fun while you train. It doesn't have to be some strict paramilitary, like, you know, there's time for that, but it's like,
when you're
that's like a small percentage of the trainings. You know, most of the time it's like, have fun. Take what you know, share it to other people, and you're a prime example of that. And thanks for doing that. And hey, man, I look forward to catching up with you. Shoot, in a couple weeks, hopefully in Denver. And if not, we'll stay in contact some other how.
Hey, bud, I love you to death, man. Love what you're doing, and friends forever, man. Cheers.
All right, man. Thanks, Facebook world. We will see you guys next time. And thanks for hanging out. Even though we had a technical snafu, but you guys hung in there like warriors. So that's it, guys. We're out of here. Bye.